Legend of Total War here, and today we're not doing a Total War Warhammer 2 video. Instead, we're going to be covering something in Anno 1800. There's been a new DLC that's been introduced over the past week, and I've been playing it a fair bit. And I wouldn't normally make videos on Anno 1800 because I know it's not what I focus on, and it's not necessarily what you guys want to watch. But this stuff is so delicious that I just felt like I had to share it with you because if you're not familiar with this game, it is a lot of fun. I played a fair bit in my own time, but the new DLC is pretty unbalanced, and there's some things that are, like, I just gotta share this cheese with you because it's just great. It just breaks the game down for the most part. Some of the stuff is just utterly ridiculous. Anyway, it takes a little bit of explaining to get into it because it's layers on layers and layers of cheese, and every time you add a new layer, it gets more and more broken. So just bear with me here. So this particular cheese is focused around fish, and fish has now become, in Anno 1800, one of the best resources in the game, whereas previously fish was practically useless. It was the first resource in the game that you get, and it's only used to feed your tier 1 and tier 2 population. Then after that you just don't need it anymore, but now you need lots of it. So let me just briefly explain how the game works for those of you who aren't aware. It's a city builder game. It's primarily focused around like managing economies. You essentially act as a company. You have shares on all of your items, on all your islands, and you can buy out other companies' islands, or you could just raise a navy and fight them for it, go to war with the other companies. But it's not necessarily a country to country type game. You're not the spirit of a nation or a king or anything like that. It's just a city builder sim. You manage resources, make sure your populations are happy, increase their population to upgrade them to the next level, that kind of stuff. Anyway, fish is the basic one, tier 1 and tier 2, and then after that you don't need it anymore. Now, with the new DLC, it's this building here, the Docklands, right? And this is where it all comes in handy. So just explaining exactly how fish works. You put this building down on the coastline, right? Can't put it down just about anywhere. It's got to be within like this gray area here. So I can't just put infinite down everywhere. That won't work. You have to put it down in areas like that. Okay, so if I go to an area where I haven't filled it up, here's a bunch of space that I could put a bunch of fisheries down if I absolutely wanted to. So what it does is every 30 seconds it'll produce one fish. The base cost is 40 gold per minute, but I've got an effect that's reducing the maintenance cost by 10%, and it requires 25 workers, which is essentially 2.5 full households, right? Not a lot. Doesn't cost much to keep this running. Now, fish on itself is not worth very much at all. So producing loads and loads of fish and then selling it off to various vendors. Like, for example, if I was to take fish over to this guy here, I could sell it to him, and he'll buy an infinite number of fish, but he'll buy it at a static price, and there's no vendor in the game that desires fish. They're not going to get you a better price for it. It sells jack shit, right? So previously, it just wasn't really worth much. But now what you can do, using this system, is trade fish, instead for money, trade it for items. So, or for other resources. So, over here, let me just take that off, I'll explain that in a minute. Okay, we take fish and we put it in one of our slots over here, basically stating that I would like to sell fish. And if, let's say I wanted to buy a potato with fish, let's get this number down a bit. I want to sell 1 fish, 1 potato. If I want to sell 10 fish, I get 11 potatoes, that kind of stuff. You can look at the ratio, it's 1 to 1.139, whatever. Okay, and the more fish that you sell, you can eventually tier it up using this system here. So tier 4 gives it a little bit of upgrade, gives a 20% bonus. This one here gives it a 40% bonus, 60% bonus, and then this one here doubles its trade value. So now I'm getting twice as much as what I would normally get for fish, right? And here are a bunch of items that I could trade for. I could trade any of these for any of my items here. This is my current stockpile that I have available, and these are all the various items in the game. Right, so if I wanted to put just, and is it? Yep, it's fine, whatever. But what we want to do in this is go right down to the bottom, okay? And what we want to do is trade fish for gramophones, okay? Now, the gramophones are very expensive, so 10 fish ain't going to cut it. So, how much is it going to cost us to get 1 gramophone? Alright, it's going to cost 23 to get 1. Well, what happens if I want 300 fish? Okay, 300 gramophones. Well, it's going to take 6,890 fish. Wow, that's a lot of fish. Yep. Okay, now, what does that mean exactly? Now, trust me, it's getting to a point. So over here, I have a cargo ship that's filled with fish. Okay, and I'm an investor, and I want to sell it to this guy. Now, all the traders in the game will buy fish for the same price. One load of fish is worth 4,800 gold via him. Now, we know that gramophones are worth 23 times that amount. So 6,800 fish, to sell it to him would be worth around 110,000 gold. You know, if we were to send 23 full boatloads of fish over to him, because he'll buy infinite amounts of it. But what happens if we sell 300 gramophones to him? Because here's the thing. If we have a look at this, these are the things that he offers to sell you, and here are the things that he needs. Okay, he has every trader has something that they want, and they usually pay an inflated price for it. So I happen to have a full boatload here of gramophones. And if it was a 1-to-1 ratio to fish to gramophones, well then I should be selling these gramophones for about 110,000 gold. Wrong! I'm going to sell them for 13 million. So, that's 120 times its value that we've just made there from fish. Yes, you do have to like trade a lot of fish in order to get 300 gramophones. But here's the thing about fish. It's possible to mass produce them at such a ridiculous rate. 6,800 isn't actually that much. Now, if you think about it, okay, one fish every 30 seconds from one fishery. Got quite a few fisheries there. You'll get there eventually. Now, production buildings in this game can be augmented by various effects. So the first thing that we want to do is click this button here and go to modify production. So what this does here is, if we want to, we can make it easier on them. This here makes them happy, the people who are working there. Or we can make it so they have to work harder, but it makes them unhappy. But here's the thing about this particular island. Minus 40 happiness for farmers. The thing is, though, there's no farmers here. This is engineers and this is investors. And because I've got a commute up here, all of the farmers are actually coming from a different island, right? So the unhappiness that's being affected here is affecting nobody, because it doesn't translate to where they're coming from. So I'm getting 50% extra production at no cost. Then, if we come over here, the harbour, the docklands, it has another secondary effect. It also acts as a area of influence for items. Now, you can get various items in the game which will augment production. Now, here's the thing about fisheries. Fisheries probably have the most number of items that can boost it in the game, right? So you could put sand in here, which is worth more than fish, because it's another sea resource. You can get the quartz sand as well, but the quartz sand costs more to operate. It doesn't have as many things that can augment it via the docklands, and it also takes up more space, right? So you can't produce it quite as fast with them out like this, right? So fish does work a lot better. So let's have a look at all the things that we can do to augment them. These are not all of the items, but I'm missing like one or two of them that can augment them. But most of the ones that can augment them, they're like 10% extra, so it's not really... I got all the best ones. Anyway, so the first one we want to put in there is the Mother of Pearls. Now this is one that an item that you can buy from most vendors. It's pretty common to buy it at least. So you get 40% extra production, but you also get the extra tallow there. So what that does is, for every 4 times each one of these affected nodes here produces 4 fish, you get 1 tallow for free, right? So we'll start seeing here, they'll start producing tallow 1 every 4 times, right? And their productivity is increased by additional 40% on the base time. Then we got this one over here, Veteran Whaler, reducing their maintenance cost, but also producing tallow. And that stacks with this. So now they're roughly producing 1 tallow every 2.25 times, something like that. So they're producing tallow quite a lot more. Then we've got this one over here, which can increase productivity by 40% further, and also reduce the workforce needed. So we need even fewer farmers to operate it. So now I only need 12 farmers to operate the thing. It's costing less, and now we're producing it at 13 seconds. Now normally, prior to the DLC, that was the most you could do to augment fisheries, right? Because this is the normal building that you can build, the Harbour Master's office, and you could only fit 3 items in there. I could put any of the other ones in here, but that was it, just 3. But the Docklands, because it's got a building here, which increases the number of item slots, I now have access to another 6 item slots in here that I can build from, on top of the 3. So we can start adding more in. So I've got here a lesser quality one of these. You can't add the same item more than once, but you can add items of the same tier more than once, as long as they're not the exact same item. So this is of the same sort of class. This is like the tier 2 version, that's like the tier 3 version. So that one goes in, extra 35%. These 3 here, they're the same sort of item. If I come over here, this is where you get it from. It's the same item, but just different tiers. 35%, 25%, 15%, for a total of 75%, right? Well, that goes on as well, right? All of those go on. Okay, now here's the thing. Because the tallow is being produced every 2 times that it produces something, not only are we increasing the productivity of fish, but we're also increasing the productivity of tallow with these ones here. And then we've got this item here, which is a really late game item, which is very difficult to get. And this is the only one that I've got. But if you do have it, you could get it for another 50%. And that'll give us extra tallow and also extra gold on top of it. So if you get all of those, and there's still more that I could get, but it's only worth like another 20% or whatever. Now we're producing fish once every 7 seconds. And so what ends up happening is that every 20 minutes, Captain Tobias comes in to buy stuff. And with this amount of fish being produced, I could easily produce 4,000 fish every 20 minutes. Which means I can send a shipload almost full of gramophones over to Mbessa every single shipload, like every 20 minutes, for about 10 million gold. And we can start doing that before we've even hit the investor stage. And making millions and millions of gold ridiculously fast. And you can do this in every island, because most resources in this game have some kind of fertility, right? So if we want to make red peppers, this island here has a fertility for red peppers and hops. This island here has got potatoes and grain, right? So just going back over to here, this is where I have to produce grain in order to feed the certain needs of the people, right? But fish can be produced anywhere, because its fertility is everywhere. So in every single island in this game, there's a lot of them, you can be producing fish. And you could also be producing this, as long as it's in the old world or Cape Trelawney. You can't do it in the new world, the Arctic, Mbessa, or the new... Hang on. Which are the other ones? Mbessa, the Arctic, and the New World you can't do it in, but the other 2 you can. Yeah. Now, the thing is, if you're at the point of where I am in this campaign here, where, okay, yeah, you clearly don't need money at this point. Okay, cool. We don't need money. Fine. What do we do at that point? Okay, let's come over to here where I've got another thing going for it, right? So you've already made your fortune. Now what you want to do is start making things even more crammed so that you can fit more population into your city. So you can eventually get a city that looks just like this. And this is where I just put all of my workers, and they get shipped off to other places to go and do work. But this is the only island where I actually need to put workers, and they're all very, very happy and all getting their needs met. And none of their production is being done here. It's all being shipped from elsewhere, right? So, let's just take soap, for example, right? Let me just clear that off and explain it just for a bit. So, normally, soap requires you to have pigs. You produce pigs, you turn those pigs into tallow, which we know we can produce for free with fisheries as well. And then you turn that tallow into soap. And then you ship the soap over to the workers so they consume it, and then you can upgrade them and so on and so forth, right? But what if we just eliminate the middlemen and... just use tallow, or even better still, use an item that instead of using tallow, you use wood, right?
The city has grown more beautiful.
And what we'll do instead of using, like I said, instead of using tallow, let me just clear all this out. Because we're producing tallow from the fishery, why don't we then take the tallow, hang on, take the tallow, and purchase wood. Okay, and how much wood can we get for 1 tallow? So 2 wood, right? But if I upgrade the resource, we can get 3 tallow. I'm not going to put it on place of fish because fish is everywhere, and this is sort of like the second most thing I've got. So then if I sell off, 1,000 tallow, I can get myself 3,000 wood. And for the price of free, I'm producing everything that they need to produce soap. So I don't need any of the other production line. Now the thing is, you can get other items as well to make soap start producing extra items. So over here we've got something where soap will produce dynamite. Every 3 times that they produce 1 soap, they will now produce 1 dynamite. Okay, cool. Well, I don't need dynamite, so I'm going to sell it. Okay, let's see here. I'm going to sell... Where's dynamite? Now, dynamite is a high-tier resource. Okay, so I'm going to sell dynamite for gramophones.
The non-aggression pact has...
And you can see I get a much better price for gramophones if I use dynamite. And I haven't even put dynamite in any of the upgraded points. So if I had it at tier 2 here, I could get 872 gramophones, which is 2... Yeah, it's more than 2 shiploads. It's 27 million gold worth of things. And all of that originated from fish. Like, nothing was produced here except for fish. It all just came from fish. All of your production is now originates from fish. And like, look at this here. This one here. These pigs. I import them. I don't have any pig farms here. I just import the pigs. I do make the iron, but I can import them. I can import them with fish, or I can import them with dynamite. And guess what? This place here also makes sausages. And this place here also makes sausages, but it also makes goulash, right? It makes so many things. Now, I don't need goulash, because goulash is normally used at making pigs here. But I exchanged the need to make goulash and instead with pigs, because pigs are easier to make, right? And it's cheaper, right? So I sell off the goulash for pigs. I get way more pigs than goulash. And so I'm making this for free. And then I'm selling this all over the place. And so just with a few resources using this building, you could just... And of course utilizing the items as well, you could just mass produce all of the items in the game that you need from just a couple of things. And like I said, every island in the game, every island in the old world and Cape Trelawney can produce fish. And it's really just that simple, and just getting more of those items and just keep on building up more and more and more. And then you just end up with ridiculous amounts of investors everywhere where you don't need any other type of population because you don't have... There's nobody producing anything here. There's no wheat farms. There's no fish here. I mean, they don't need fish here. And all of their needs are met, and it's all being imported due to production of fish. Fish is producing everything here. If I want coffee, I can purchase coffee. I can purchase all of this stuff here. Look, if I go to this, all of those items that we need, they're all here. They're all here to purchase, and I can buy it all with fish, and I can build fish everywhere. So that's basically it. It's really late in the campaign when you get to do this kind of stuff, but this is the beauty of this game. You get to the point where things just get so broken and so over fine-tuned. And the thing is, with this at this point here, I still have a long way to go to perfectly fine-tune things. That's one of the things that I really love about this game. And I just keep getting all of this shit for free as well. I got so many things just coming in for free, and the game's actually capped at 1 billion gold. I can't get any more than that. But I could still get more population. There's still more things to unlock, and that's the great thing about it. I've played this game for ages now, and I still have more things to do with it, and that's what I love about it so much. And the Docklands just added so much more to it, because here's the thing that makes it so good, is that it doesn't just add like a standalone mechanic. It's a mechanic that plays into all of the other mechanics that came before it. And you don't have to get all the other DLC in order to make it work. But if you do have the other DLC, like if you've got the Cape Trelawney DLC, if you've got the Embessa DLC, you can add to it and get more and more out of it. So it gives you an incentive to get everything, because the more you get, it multiplies on itself. They're not just separate things, and that's what I really like about it so much. But anyway, hopefully that gives you a bit of an insight about why I'm playing this in my spare time and why I love it. It's just so cheesy. I love doing this kind of crap. Hopefully you've enjoyed this and learnt something about it, and maybe if you've never played Anno 1800, give it a go. If you're into these kind of games, I think it's amazing, and I think you'll like it too. Anyway, that's the end of this one, guys. We'll be back with the scheduled Warhammer 2 stuff tomorrow, and appreciate you, and I'll see you next time, fuckers. See ya.